One of the new ride lines for Lyrical Monasterio just got revealed, and it looks to be a powerful ride line.
Stand up! Vanguard!
Hey Cardfighters, welcome back to another Cardfight update, and we're gonna have a break of the clan collection reveals that I'm trying to catch up, because today's Tuesday, which means we got the Tuesday card live reveals. I don't think that makes any sense. We basically got the live stream with the new cards, and this time we got the new ride line, or one of the two ride lines for Lyrical Monasterio, including one support card and a new promo, which honestly might help this ride line because it's incidentally, or maybe not incidentally, synergize with what the ride line wants to do. So with it said, let's jump straight into these cards, and we're gonna start off with the new promo, which is a great one, which I sadly don't have a name for yet, but her effect is auto on rearguard circle once a turn. When your auto rearguards are placed on the same column as this unit, costs Soul Blast 1, and this unit gets power plus 5k until the end of turn. So effectively you can use the Soul Blast to gain 5k power, so it becomes a 13k booster or attacker, and this basically could work with any superior call engine. Like this can work with Kyrie as well as Felty Rosa, so it has some incidental synergies with those ride lines. But it can also work with the new ride line, because this new powerful ride line uses or works with the fact that you need to have an empty soul, and this is a card that can basically achieve that quite easily. So this could be a card you want to run if the amount of dedicated support cards in the set is going to be limited. So we have to wait and see until we see all the cards for the entire set, as well as for the respective ride line. Now, talking about the new ride line, we have a new ride line, and we started with a brand new grade 0, which is this 0, Cutie Topic Rabina. And Rabina is of course going to have the generic grade 0 starter skill, which is auto when the unit is rode upon. If you went second, draw a card. We can basically move on from here. So then we go to the grade 1, which is Sniping Eiffel Laragne. And Laragne has the effect act on Vanguard circle, rearguard circle. Once a turn, costs Soul Blast 1, and discard a card from your hand and draw a card. So you basically get a cycle for the cost of a Soul Blast. Now that does sound bad, because first off you need to discard before you draw, and you also need to pay a Soul Blast. But as we already explained, and as you're going to see with her other skill, you want to have an empty soul. And that means that this skill is actually very nice, because when you write it from your right deck, you can immediately Soul Blast your grade 0, and you have an empty soul, thus meaning for the condition of the powerful skills. So honestly, it's underwhelming in a generic sense, but it's nice in the context of the ride line. So now that I explained that, let's take a look at this powerful skill, as her other effect is powerful. Continues the Vanguard circle. If your soul has no cards, when you would write a Attract Peach Earthiness from your right deck, you can write without discarding a card from your hand. So essentially, you're gonna get the free plus out of this, because you don't have to discard for the right deck, and then you get a card on your Vanguard circle, which essentially is basically a plus, which isn't that bad. Now, that's everything this card does. It's essentially a cycle and a plus for Soul Blast in total, which I think is fine for a grade 0 on the ride line. Like some of the ride line grade 0s are basically a +1. This is essentially a +1 with a cycle attached to it that also sets up for your main archetype playstyle, which is the fact that you want to have an empty soul. And basically, as far as I have seen, the powerful keyword here basically means that the skill needs you to have an empty soul to activate the skill itself. Now, if you move up to the grade 2, which is of course Attract Peach Earthiness, she has two skills, from which one is continuous on Vanguard to rearguard circle. During the battle, this unit attacks, this unit gets power plus 2k. Very generic on a lot of the grade 2s of the ride line that become 12k attackers, which means it can be a magic number with an 8k because it is 20, and against a 10k grade 2, that's a magic number even if they hit a defensive trigger. But then she also has the same exact effect as the grade 1, which is powerful, continuous on Vanguard circle. If your soul has no cards, when you would write a Comic Beauty Herminia from your right deck, you write without discarding a card from your hand. Again, a free plus, which is not bad. The only issue here is that you need another card to actually be able to fulfill this condition, because unlike the grade 1, she doesn't have a skill that Soul Blasts the cards that you have in your soul, because the moment you write on top of it, you will have one card in your soul, which is the grade 1. So you need another card that's Soul Blast. Now, of course, there are quite a few cards within Lyrical Monasterio that do that, but I cannot come up from the top of my head that has a nice synergy with this ride line together with the thing that it tries to do. But hopefully we're going to see more dedicated support cards as well that then synergize with this condition and this setup as well. Talking about the Grade 3, we have Coming Beauty Herminia, and she has 2 effects, from which one is Act on Vanguard Circle cost, counter +1, and this unit gets power +5k until the end of turn. This is very underwhelming. Counter +1 for 5k power is not good. Like, anybody that knows me, I don't like skills that just use counter to gain power because it's very wasteful of your counter resources. That said, there is at least some application to this skill because she then allows you to always meet the condition for her second effect. Because keep in mind, it's not once per turn, so you can basically use the skill 3 times, you use 3 counter give 15k power to your Vanguard, but then you basically setting up for her second skill, which is powerful. Auto Vanguard Circle. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, if the total number of cards in your soul and face-up cards in your damage zone is 0, cost, discard a card from your hand, choose one of your rearguards with a powerful ability and stand it. Reduce the next time you counterblast this turn by 1. So essentially, you basically set up for the fact that you can resend your a rearguard for a discard, which is another attack, and you basically get a pseudo counter charge because you can counterblast at least once after you resolve this skill. Now, because it's during the battle phase, that means you cannot use your own act ability anymore. So you need other rearguards that have battle phase skills that use counterblast to get value off of this skill. And potentially units with the powerful effect that can benefit from the fact that they restand. So far we only have the right line that have the powerful keyword, but they aren't very instrumental. The rearguard circle, yes, we have the grade 1 that is a cycle, but doesn't really do anything during the battle phase. The grade 2 is a 12k attacker, which honestly isn't terrible, because the thing is, this effect isn't restricted behind your opponent being grade 3, so you can go first, write its grade 3, call the grade 2, then make a 20k column, attack first for 12k, then restand it and attack for 20k, and then have also a Vanguard that swings for maybe 13, 18, 23, depending on how many uses of the counterblast you need to do, depending on how many damage you got in the early game. So overall, it's interesting. It's built in 4 attack deck, although Lyrical Monasterio have multiple 5 attack decks. But depending on the support around this could honestly be its own little unique thing that could be very powerful. Now, to make sense of this skill, there's also a dedicated grade 3 support card that they revealed. And as this grade 3, which I don't have a name right now, because the thing is, they accidentally revealed another unit skill and name when they showed this card on Twitter. So we know the skill reveal of a grade 2 of Willista, but I'm just going to ignore that for now. I'm probably going to cover that in a future video. But this grade 3 has the effect powerful auto rearguard circle. When it attacks a Vanguard, if your soul has no cards, cost counter +1 until the end of battle, this unit gains the following ability. Auto rearguard circle. When this unit attack hits, draw 1, and one of your other units get power +5k until the end of turn. So essentially, this is a unit that can use counterblast preemptively, so you can meet the condition for your Vanguard, and it also has an on-hit that allows you to plus and give a bit of extra power to the board. I overall don't really like this all too much, because you're essentially just wasting counterblast for an on-hit preemptively, so your opponent can deny the value of this card. The only upside to this card is that it just will allow you to meet the condition for your restand, so you gain the value nonetheless. And then the second time you use the counterblast, it's basically for free, so then it's not that bad, but still it's kind of iffy. That said, because this effect is on hit and not on hit Vanguard, you can essentially go for the first attack into a rearguard, force the on hit, give more power to potentially your Vanguard or the other unit to the side, and draw a card so you plus a little bit, and then restand it, and then go for the Vanguard for more pressure. Overall, right now, I feel like it's too early to say how good this archetype is in this right line, because it feels like it needs a lot of specific support cards as soon as it works with a powerful keyword. And if this is the only rearguard grade 3 we're gonna get, it's probably gonna be very underwhelming. But I assume, and I think we're gonna get at least 1 or 2 more powerful rearguards, a grade 2 and a grade 1, I think, maybe another grade 3, that allows us to synergize with this and gives this deck more options. Because it also means that if you do not draw into this grade 3, what is your Vanguard going to do? Because you need a powerful rearguard, otherwise your Vanguard really doesn't do anything. So I think it's similar to what we saw, I think was with Clarissa or one of the other right line, where it initially got revealed and it felt quite lackluster. until we saw the support cards around it, and then it basically made sense how the deck is supposed to function. And I think that can definitely happen with this ride line as well, but for now, it's basically too early to say and to judge what we can expect of this ride line. The only thing that we do know is that it wants to Soul Blast, it's going to restand at least once, so we're going to have at least a 4 attack deck, and we might be able to reuse battle phase skills because of the restand and the potential synergy of the powerful keyword. Now, the last thing they showed us is this artwork. This is basically the LSR for the new grade 3 for Herminia, and they also told us that next week, I believe next week, we're gonna see the LSR artwork for the other triggers, because I think already saw the critical trigger, but I believe the heal and the draw is also going to get an LSR artwork, if not also a front, if I remember correctly. And we also going to get more lyrical stuff to next week, where they're going to reveal basically a lot of generic cards that will support all of the ride lines in total. So I think the card that they accidentally leaked, the Willista grade 2, is probably going to be in that reveal, or I think it's a Willista grade 2, that's at least what I've heard. But basically, that's all speculation, and we have to wait and see what we're going to get next week. That said, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of these new cards for Lyrical Monasterio. What's your thought about this new powerful ride line? Do you think it has potential? Do you think it feels lackluster? Or do you want to reserve your opinion and your thoughts until we get more support cards and we have a better scope of what this deck tries to do? Because maybe you think, and I'm on the same boat, it's a little bit unfair to compare this card to the other Lyrical Monasterio archetypes, because those ride lines already got an entire wave of support and already are quite a fully built deck, especially in the case of Clarissa and Lauren Roll. Those decks are basically finished and touched upon, and you can basically only adjust a little bit to make the deck better than it is. This is a brand new thing and needs a lot of new toys to actually make something remarkable out of it. But that's everything from me today. I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters over patreon.com/VanguardInsider. You guys are amazing. If you do want to support the channel or everything that's happening on the channel, you can simply go to patreon.com/VanguardInsider and become a Patreon today. But with that said, I've been Mr. Time Leap, and I see you guys in the next one!